The death of Gene Hackman, a Hollywood legend, has opened up a mystery that remains unsolved to this day. While the media reported that he passed away due to old age and illness, the unusual details surrounding his death and the subsequent attack on his daughter, Leslie Hackman, raise a series of questions. Is there a hidden force behind all these events? And why are those around him concealing the truth? With a series of suspicious clues, the security system being disabled, and strange actions following Gene Hackman's death, this case becomes increasingly complex and puzzling. Who is truly behind all of this? And does Leslie Hackman, the only one left holding the secret, have the courage to expose the truth? If you find this story intriguing, leave a 1 in the comments. If you'd like to dive deeper into this mysterious tale, leave a 0 and join us as we explore the details in this video. Conflicting testimony from family members. Gene Hackman's death initially seemed to mark the end of a Hollywood legend, but it sparked a series of mysteries that kept the public in constant debate. Official reports stated that he passed away due to old age and illness, with information suggesting he had been suffering from Alzheimer's in his later years. However, as soon as the news broke, Leslie Hackman, his daughter, immediately denied this information, strongly asserting that her father was in perfect health, mentally sharp, and showed no signs of dementia. This contradiction was not just a simple mistake, but raised a bigger question. Was someone trying to hide the truth or even manipulate the story behind his death? The deeper one delves into the matter, the more unusual details become apparent. First, the security camera system in Gene Hackman's mansion was disabled right before his death. This is highly suspicious, as in similar cases involving celebrities, surveillance cameras are crucial tools for verifying the facts. However, in this case, the entire surveillance footage disappeared without a trace. This raises two possibilities. Either it was a deliberate attack, or someone within the family deliberately erased the evidence. The reaction from Hackman's family was also peculiar. Leslie Hackman quickly confirmed that her father was not suffering from dementia, despite the lack of any public medical reports regarding his condition. The contradictions in the statements from family members have left the public questioning who is telling the truth and who is trying to hide it. Hackman's daughter attack. After Gene Hackman's funeral, Leslie Hackman was attacked by an unknown assailant inside her father's house. What stood out was that the attacker left no clear traces behind. She was assaulted, yet no valuables were taken, which led to the theory that the target was not her belongings, but Leslie herself. Was this a warning to her? Could the person behind the incident have wanted to ensure that Leslie wouldn't reveal any crucial information about her father's death? When police arrived at the scene, they found signs of a struggle, but there was no direct evidence pointing to the identity of the attacker. In a subsequent interrogation, Leslie described the details of the attack. According to her, the stranger appeared from the shadows, moving quickly and forcefully, indicating that this was no ordinary thief. Notably, he had no intention of stealing or taking anything valuable from the house. His sole target was Leslie. He lunged at her with such force that she was knocked to the floor. Leslie fought back, creating a brief but intense struggle. She asserted that the attacker didn't say a word throughout the encounter, but there was a brief moment when he paused, as if contemplating whether to continue. Then, unexpectedly, he released her and fled into the night, leaving nothing taken from the scene. This is particularly significant because if it had been a robbery, the attacker would have certainly taken something valuable. However, in reality, he took nothing and did not intentionally inflict serious harm on Leslie. This suggests that this was not a typical robbery, but rather an act resembling a warning. Right after the incident, Leslie called the police. When the investigative team arrived at the scene, they noted signs of a struggle but found little concrete evidence. There was no blood, no strange fingerprints, and no objects left behind as unusual evidence. Although Leslie had fallen to the floor and sustained minor injuries, there were no signs suggesting an attempt to kill her. If the attacker had truly intended to harm her, he could have easily done so when Leslie was unable to defend herself. However, he didn't, releasing her and quickly fleeing, indicating that he didn't want to escalate the situation further. The police also questioned the deactivation of the security camera system just before the incident occurred. This clearly couldn't be a coincidence. Someone must have prepared in advance, understood the home's security system, and known how to cover their tracks. One of the initial hypotheses of the police was that the attack might have been related to a family dispute over Hackman's estate. However, there was no indication that Leslie had received any prior threats, nor was there any open conflict within the family involving her. This made the case even more unpredictable. Another investigation pointed to Gene Hackman's relationships before his death, considering if there were any individuals or organizations he was involved with and whether Leslie might have unknowingly learned something important. If this was the case, then the attack could have been a warning to her not to delve too deeply into her father's death. If she discovered something about his death and wanted to investigate before alerting the police, she could have played another role in the case. Conspiracy behind Leslie Hackman's attack. With a series of mysterious details surrounding Gene Hackman's death and the attack on Leslie Hackman, an important question arises. Who is behind these events? A notable theory suggests that Gene Hackman's death and Leslie's attack were not random events, but rather linked to some underground force. Based on what has happened, there are many signs indicating that a sophisticated plot is unfolding to conceal something Hackman may have known before his death. Hackman was not just a famous actor, but also a significant figure in the film industry, with roles that exposed political and social secrets. This raises the question of whether he might have inadvertently become involved in dangerous relationships outside of this industry. Unverified sources suggest that Hackman had participated in independent investigations into sensitive issues, making him a target for powerful organizations. Documents released by the FBI also indicate that some of Hackman's close friends revealed he expressed concern and unease in the final years of his life. Gene Hackman, known for his discretion and avoidance of Hollywood scandals, became increasingly cautious in his final years. He once shared with a friend that there were things that should never be spoken of, but sometimes the truth needed to be revealed. These words not only reflect Hackman's inner anxiety, but also hint that he may have held a significant secret, one that he knew would be dangerous if exposed. Hackman's death has been compared to many unusual deaths involving individuals who attempted to reveal secrets of underground organizations. A prime example is Gary Webb, the investigative journalist who exposed the CIA's connections to drug cartels. Webb was found dead with 2 gunshot wounds to the head, and although the incident was deemed a suicide, Many believe he was murdered to silence him. Another case is Michael Hastings, the investigative journalist who uncovered military scandals, who died in a suspicious car accident believed to involve remote interference. If Hackman truly uncovered some secrets related to underground activities, finance, a political scandal, or even a government conspiracy, his death might not have been coincidental. Those behind it may have exploited his age and health condition to cover up the truth. However, if Leslie, his daughter, discovered something important, she could be the next target. The most suspicious part of the incident is the attack on Leslie. If the goal was simply to kill her, the attacker had enough time and opportunity to do so, but instead, they only created a threat without directly causing harm. This can be interpreted in two ways. Either the organization behind it didn't want to draw public attention, or they wanted to send a clear message that Leslie should not continue investigating her father's death. Moreover, the disabling of the security system before the attack occurred is not a mere coincidence, but clearly indicates that the attacker had knowledge of surveillance technology. This becomes even more suspicious if there was internal help, possibly from family members or security personnel. Another theory to consider is that this incident could be related to a conflict or secret within the Hackman family. As mentioned earlier, there is a clear contradiction in the testimonies of family members regarding Gene Hackman's health. His eldest daughter claimed he had Alzheimer's, while Leslie strongly denied it. This contradiction is not just a matter of memory lapses or personal opinions, but could be a sign of an internal conspiracy to alter Hackman's will or control his assets. If he were declared to have dementia, any decisions he made in his final years could be considered invalid, opening up opportunities for other family members to take control of his estate and inheritance. In this context, Leslie may have discovered changes in her father's legal documents and become a threat to those trying to cover up the truth. The attack could have been a warning to stop her from continuing her investigation or even an attempt to remove her from the inquiry. One of the most common causes of family disputes is asset conflicts. Gene Hackman's will. No one can deny that Hackman was one of the greatest movie stars of the 20th century, but alongside his fame, he also amassed a vast fortune, estimated to be worth tens of millions of dollars. His assets included real estate, film royalties, investment stocks, and undisclosed finances. One might imagine that after his passing, this legacy would be distributed transparently according to his wishes. However, what was surprising is that Gene Hackman made significant changes in the final months of his life, and much of his fortune no longer went to his biological children. According to documents provided by Hackman's representative lawyer, a few months before his death, Hackman made notable amendments to his will. These changes not only affected how his estate would be distributed, but also raised a series of questions about the true motives of those behind these decisions. Previously, Hackman's will had divided his assets relatively equally among his children and several charitable organizations. However, in the latest update to his will, a large portion of Hackman's estate was no longer allocated to Leslie, Elizabeth, or other close family members, but instead transferred into an anonymous fund. The identity of the final beneficiary remains unknown, adding further complexity and intrigue to the case. Who is truly behind this anonymous fund? If Hackman genuinely intended to leave his fortune to an investment or charitable fund, why didn't he publicly name the manager or specify the purpose. Legal experts suggest that this fund could be a way to conceal the true identity of the actual beneficiary. If so, someone may have heavily influenced Hackman's decision just before his death, possibly even orchestrating events so that he could not alter his will. As soon as the will was made public, a wave of outrage swept through Hackman's family. Sources close to the family revealed that Leslie, in particular, was furious upon learning that her inheritance had been significantly reduced. Even more notable is the fact that Leslie had an intense argument with her father just months before his passing. The argument between Leslie and her father, according to some witnesses, was directly related to the issue of inheritance. Their strained relationship over the years made it seem as though Leslie was attempting to intervene to ensure she received a larger share of the estate. Hackman's will was changed shortly thereafter, along with Leslie's strange actions following her father's death, leading many to question whether she had any involvement in his sudden passing. Leslie's actions only fueled suspicions. After hearing about her father's death, instead of showing grief or staying to assist with the investigation, she quickly disappeared from the media spotlight. Furthermore, security cameras captured footage of her returning to the Hackman estate in the middle of the night to collect documents and swiftly leaving after a mysterious fire broke out in a nearby area where some of the papers were burned. These documents are suspected to include the will or other important financial papers. If Leslie truly had nothing to hide, why would she behave this way? Not only that, but she also avoided cooperating with the police when they requested her assistance in the investigation regarding Hackman's estate. She provided numerous excuses to delay providing information, hired her own lawyer, and severed most communication with family members. The police also examined several unusual financial transactions in Hackman's accounts just before his death, and coincidentally, a large sum of money had been transferred into accounts linked to Leslie. This raises the question, could she have influenced Hackman's will for personal gain? And if so, was Hackman's death truly a natural event, or was there some kind of orchestrated plot involved? Public opinion has split into two factions. One side believes that Leslie is merely trying to protect her reputation and avoid getting caught up in unfounded rumors, while the other side thinks she is directly involved in the incident. The contradictory signs in her statements, her actions right after Gene Hackman's death, and especially the sudden change in his will, all suggest that there may be a conspiracy behind Hackman's death. If Leslie is truly not involved, why wouldn't she cooperate with the police? Why would she destroy documents and not react like a grieving daughter after her father's death? And why was she calm enough to have lunch with her sister right after hearing about his passing? These questions remain unanswered. The deeper the investigation, the more unusual details emerge. Another theory that should be considered. If not Leslie, then who is really behind the change in Hackman's will? It could be a mysterious figure who manipulated the situation, taking advantage of the strained relationship between Hackman and his daughter to redirect the assets in their favor. The anonymous fund Hackman left behind may not just be a financial tool, but also a means to conceal the true identity of the beneficiary. Leslie's attack might not have been a random incident, but rather a deliberate act to warn her not to interfere with the real estate matters. This is a common tactic in family cases involving large estates, using threats or violence to force a member out of the dispute. A final hypothesis could be related to Hackman's past. Although he was just an actor, Hackman participated in many films involving politics, crime, and conspiracies. If he inadvertently uncovered a major secret he wasn't supposed to know, such as a financial scandal or a corruption plot, his death may not have been coincidental. Dark forces might have wanted Hackman to stay silent forever. FBI's line of investigation. The FBI has met with entrepreneurs, politicians, individuals in finance, and even those in the underground Hollywood world, which is not only the center of the entertainment industry, but also a crossroads between art and power. If Gene Hackman had ever been involved in an independent investigation or had connections with powerful individuals, his death could have been orchestrated to prevent him from revealing anything. Looking at similar cases from the past, where famous figures, ranging from politicians to singers, business people, or actors, suddenly died under mysterious circumstances, only to eventually be forgotten, raises further suspicions. Could Hackman have been the victim of such a conspiracy? If Gene Hackman had tried to reveal the truth before his death, then Leslie might be the only one left who knows about it. If she was told by her father what he discovered, she could be holding a secret that someone wants buried forever, and if she knows, she could also be in danger. Analyzing the evidence and traces at the crime scene is crucial to unravel these theories. A case can't rely solely on speculation. Clear evidence is needed to uncover the truth. The police have gathered several important clues from the scene, Leslie Hackman's testimony, and other factors related to the case. Here are the key points to analyze in order to find out who is behind this incident. When the police arrived at the scene of the attack at Gene Hackman's house, they found several suspicious signs. First, there were signs of a struggle, but the level of violence was low, suggesting that the attacker did not intend to kill Leslie, but merely wanted to threaten her. The belongings in the house were not significantly disturbed, indicating that the attack was not a break-in for theft. An important factor is that the security system had been disabled just before the attack took place. In typical attacks, the security cameras would capture images of the intruder, but in this case, all the data was lost. This suggests that the attacker had knowledge of technology or received help from someone within the family or someone with access to the security system. The police also noted that there were no signs of forced entry or unlocked doors from the outside. The doors and windows showed no signs of being opened prior to the attack, indicating that the intruder had legal access to the house or had a key. This raises the question of who let the attacker in, or whether Leslie was being watched and attacked immediately after entering the house. The signs of a struggle were confined to a specific area, with no evidence of a prolonged chase or fight. This suggests that the attacker acted deliberately, launching a sudden attack to cause panic, and then quickly fleeing before Leslie could react more strongly. The behavior of the attacker is one of the key factors in determining his motive. According to Leslie's description, the attacker didn't say a word throughout the encounter, which can be interpreted in two ways. Either he didn't want to be recognized by his voice, or this was a premeditated attack with no communication between him and the victim. One important detail is that the attacker didn't try to seriously harm Leslie. If his goal was to kill her, he had enough time to do so, but instead, he stopped midway, as if sending a warning message. This behavior is common in cases involving threats or silencing someone. Witnesses indicate that the attacker left the scene without taking any valuables, suggesting that his motive was not financial. If this had been a robbery, he could have taken valuable assets from the house, but the fact that nothing was stolen points to a completely different motive, possibly to pressure Leslie into stopping her investigation into her father's death. Another possibility is that the attacker was hired to carry out the act, but hesitated at the last minute. If this had been a professional hitman, he wouldn't have stopped halfway. But if he was simply hired to send a warning message, his actions make perfect sense. In addition to Leslie Hackman and family members, there may be other individuals involved in this case. Gene Hackman's lawyers, who worked with him in his final years, might have knowledge of the legal documents he signed. If there were any changes made to his will or assets, they could hold crucial information. Moreover, security personnel and staff working for the Hackman family should also be investigated. If the camera system was disabled just before the attack, who had access to it? If it wasn't an external breach, someone from within might have assisted the attacker. Another important point to consider is whether Gene Hackman encountered any legal or financial troubles before his death. If he had any investments or associations with questionable business organizations, his death might not have been entirely natural, but instead linked to powerful forces seeking to silence him. Despite gathering substantial evidence, there are still significant gaps in this case that remain unresolved. Next direction of investigation. Although many clues have been uncovered, the case remains unresolved due to numerous unanswered questions. The traces at the scene, the disabling of the security system, and the attacker's behavior all indicate that this was not a random incident. To move forward with the investigation, there are several directions the police could continue to explore in order to uncover the truth behind Leslie Hackman's attack and Gene Hackman's mysterious death. One of the most crucial steps is to examine the security system data. Although the surveillance cameras at Gene Hackman's house were disabled just before the attack occurred, there is still a possibility that data logs exist on the servers or storage systems from the security company. In modern security systems, data can be automatically stored on remote servers rather than just on local devices. If the police can retrieve data from this system, they may be able to determine who accessed the system or who intentionally disabled the cameras before the attack took place, helping to identify the perpetrator and whether anyone within Hackman's family or circle of acquaintances assisted in this act. Another crucial line of investigation is to thoroughly examine Gene Hackman's legal documents. If there were indeed any unusual changes in his will or financial decisions before his death, this could be the primary motive behind the incident. One of the most suspicious signs is the contradiction in family members' testimonies regarding Hackman's health. If he was truly not suffering from memory loss, as some suggested, it's possible someone exploited his age to manipulate his assets. Reviewing his asset records, will, and financial transactions in the final months of Hackman's life will help determine if any unusual activities occurred and, more importantly, who benefited from these changes. An essential factor not to overlook is investigating Gene Hackman's external relationships. Throughout his career, Hackman was not just a film actor but also had many connections in other fields, including finance and media. if he had been involved in an independent investigation or had ties to any organization before his death. His passing might not have been a natural event. Cases involving influential figures often have hidden aspects that the public cannot immediately see. If Hackman truly discovered a secret and intended to reveal it, it could have made him a target that needed to be silenced. Additionally, an important aspect of the investigation is analyzing the psychology and behavior of the attacker. According to Leslie Hackman's testimony, the attacker did not intend to kill her, but only wanted to send a warning message. This could suggest that he was not acting alone, but was following orders from someone else. In cases involving threats, the attacker typically does not leave obvious traces and avoids taking excessive actions that could attract attention. If this was a murder attempt, the attacker had the opportunity to carry it out, but chose not to, raising the question of who had the motive to warn Leslie. She knew, or was about to find out, something that made her a target. If the police can determine who stands to benefit from Leslie's silence, the list of suspects could narrow significantly. With all the details analyzed, the most important question remains: can this case be solved? Currently, the case remains unclear. There are no specific witnesses, no direct evidence of the attacker's identity, and too many theories still being proposed. However, one thing is certain: Leslie Hackman is in danger. If she truly holds the secret of her father's death, she is likely to continue facing threats in the near future. This not only heightens concerns about Leslie's personal safety, but also suggests that certain forces are attempting to cover up the truth at any cost. A realistic possibility is that this case will gradually fade into obscurity, just like many other mysterious cases involving famous figures in Hollywood history and the upper echelons of society. There have been many instances where suspicious deaths were never adequately explained. If those behind this case truly hold power, they could manipulate the investigation and ensure that the truth never sees the light of day. Distorting forensic results, bribing witnesses, or simply leaving the case unresolved are all scenarios that could very well unfold. However, there is another scenario. If Leslie is determined to pursue the truth and uncover concrete evidence about her father's death, this case could take a different turn. But that also means she will have to face even greater dangers. If she truly holds important information, seeking justice would not just be a personal act, but a confrontation with powerful individuals who may stop at nothing to protect their secrets. Could Leslie uncover the truth before it's too late? Are the current clues enough to unravel the mystery behind Gene Hackman's death? And more importantly, who is truly behind her attack? These questions may never have a clear answer, or perhaps one day a new piece of the puzzle will emerge and bring the entire case to light. But one thing is certain: the truth remains hidden, and those behind this incident will not make it easy for it to be revealed. If Gene Hackman's death truly has dark forces behind it, then this is not just an isolated case, but possibly part of a larger conspiracy. A conspiracy where those in the shadows are willing to do anything to conceal the truth. But the most important question is, what will Leslie Hackman do? She could choose silence, accept her fate, and let the past rest, or she could continue searching for the truth, despite the dangers lurking around her. If she truly knows something about her father's death, her choice will determine everything. Will the truth ever be revealed? Or will it remain buried under the dust of time? The death of Gene Hackman and the attack on Leslie Hackman have undoubtedly left countless unanswered questions. Will the truth remain hidden forever, or one day will the missing pieces be revealed? What truly happened within the Hackman family? We can only know the answer if Leslie decides to continue seeking the truth, despite the dangers that lurk ahead. Who do you think is truly behind all of these events? And will Leslie reveal the truth or accept letting the past rest? Leave your thoughts in the comments below. Don't forget to like, share this video, and hit subscribe so you won't miss any exciting and intriguing videos. See you in the next one.